Well, another load of wood. Fixing to go home and put that on a splitter. That take a couple hours to split probably. Better than doing it by hand like we used to. I'm gonna wander back in the timber here. I'm gonna pull me up one of these stumps I got cut up, and we're gonna do some bass fishing talk. How's that for original? Bass fishing talk in the woods. Wait, it's not original. I do it all the time. I'm Dale Verts. Old school stuff here. Be right back. You know, something's going on with this wood. These blocks are getting heavier. They never used to be this heavy. Somebody needs to look into that. Need to call the Department of Tourism or something, find out what's going on. Weights and measures. Yeah, weights. Find out what's going on with this stuff. I'm concerned. There's a stump to set on. I have nothing to hold my camera, but I'm not lazy. I can do that myself. Whatever. Look at that. Old dead red oak. Burns really good, y'all. Oh, I haven't stopped for a couple hours. I'm going to stop now. I got a question. Have y'all ever watched anybody use a fly rod or seen a film of a fly rod being used for whatever kind of fish? You ever watch it in slow motion? It's a freaking art, y'all. Ain't it, Glenn? My buddy Glenn knows. It's an art. But that brings me to my point, and man, this needs to be scripted. I need to write all this out and think of all the eloquent things I've been thinking of the last hour or so cutting wood. I'm going to talk about art. Bob Ross kind of art? No, maybe. Years ago, I did an article for a Trapper magazine. I still write once in a while for those. I get paid to do it, and I hardly ever write one. What's wrong with that? There's sport fishing, sport hunting, or I never liked that term, but there was never a term for trapping. And sport trapping didn't sound right, and I decided that trapping was an art form more than it was a sport. And I explained why, and I'm going to do that same explanation now to bass fishing, and as much so, or even more so, maybe than trapping, because there's more things to go with bass fishing. Anything in the outdoors could be applied to this, though. Man, I hope I don't screw this up. So fishing is not a sport. Fishing is an art. Bass fishing, trout fishing with that fly rod, particularly so. So many intricate things go into fishing that make it an artistic endeavor. So that makes us artists. And if you don't think you're an artist, you're one of those funny facing forward guys. Because this is not going to apply to you. It's traditional bass fishing only. If you're not a traditional bass fisherman, if you're a flat brim 25-year-old, you're not going to get this. There's no way. Matter of fact, it may take something older than 40 years old to get this. I hope not. Hope in your heart that you can understand what I'm trying to tell you. I had to take off those solar bats. It's just, I need my high contrast, low visibility lenses. That's the only solar bat commercial I'm going to do today, except check link in the description and use my promo code and get free shipping. Was that art? Y'all, bass fishing is art. Anything in the outdoors can be considered art because you're attempting to make something happen yourself. You start a morning bass fishing, you should have an empty canvas in front of you. That Bob Ross, big old white, cream-colored canvas, whatever, and you paint your brush strokes, your beginning stuff, your background, you layer it the same way you layer your day. The way you structure your day is the same thing as making a painting or a nice drawing. I used to be able to draw. Never was much on painting. I had a stroke in 2010. I can't draw anymore. Used to like playing guitar. Another art form, obviously. The way you do your day, it's like laying out a painting on a big old white canvas. And you choose what colors you use. You choose what method you use. You choose how to layer it, how to apply things, how to change things, how to use different tools. Bob Ross used those different brushes and sponges and whatever he used to make a portrait that fits you. Is that too deep? I don't think so. You choose your baits. You choose your tools. Every one of them can be looked at as a tool to use to make your painting, to make your sculpture, to make your Rembrandt type situation happen. Every cast, like that fly rod, it's not as beautiful throwing a big old swim bait on an 8-foot heavy rod, but still, every cast is applying a stroke of paint to that board. Y'all made that cast before, that one, like, my gosh, that was the most perfect cast I ever made in my life. I wish I could do that again, and maybe you do. Or maybe in a day where it's all coming together and you're making those perfect casts. It's art. Flipping. The brute, I'm talking old-fashioned flipping, not pitching, which is also an art. It's all art. It's artistry and happening. It's oh my gosh, it's beautiful. But flipping, and the great flippers of all times like Denny and Tommy and Randy, the guys can make it, laying that bait in sometimes without a ripple. I mean, that was the thing, that was the key back, to put it in there without a ripple. Drop that bait in the water so the fish had no clue it was coming until it hit them on the head. And then the brute explosion of setting the hook and ripping them back out. All the water splashing, a fish jumping around. If that's not art, what is art? That's got to be art of some sort, in my mind. In my mind, it's the ultimate art, maybe. Or close to it. Talking about that bass jumping. I need a selfie stick. That's not art. Making YouTube videos is not art. I don't care what if this is art, it's a black canvas in a dark room. That bass comes out of that brush pile and lily pads, out of that milfoil grass off a boat dock, slashing and thrashing, beautiful colors. There ain't nothing more artful than a smallmouth bass heading for the sky. Y'all have never caught a small jaw? It ain't that they jump higher than a largemouth on purpose. They're just running faster when they run out of water. That's all a jump is, a fish running out of water. I've had smallmouth. I mean, I'm thinking one on Dale Hollow Lake right now. I'm not tall, but I was standing on the deck of a bass boat, and that bass, I know, cleared my eyesight, my level. I mean, that fish had to jump. It come upon a spook. That fish come through the water, missed the spook. I didn't miss him, and he come up, and I'm looking. I could see it because the sun was was coming up in the background, and that fish was at least eye level or above. Oh, I'd love to have that on a picture. I would make that my screenshot on my computer. I'd make that my wallpaper, whatever. I'd make that into a poster. I'd give it to people. 4-pound smallmouth, just freaking gorgeous. It's art. How could it not be? That sunrise that morning wasn't anything spectacular, I guess. I mean, it wasn't one of those layered, beautiful ones like you get, and sunsets like we had last night. I didn't have a camera with me. But it was gorgeous. It was coming up through the trees, the land between lakes. It was coming up there. Everything was in perfect place. I was where I wanted to be. That smallmouth jumping, catching some fish, and that sun shining through those trees that come up. Y'all, that's pure art. It's nothing but a canvas that God helps paint, that you make do what you can do with, and that's just freaking art. Man, some of those memories that I have from back in the day of sunrises and sunsets, fishing at night with a full moon, quiet, occasional splash somewhere makes you wonder what it was. Maybe catch a fish once in a while, make your own splashing. Maybe sharing some time with a friend. Art. I don't care, man. That's just it's art. It's artistry in action. It's just the way it is. When you make those casts, those perfect casts that you're kind of proud of, shouldn't be, because the next one will be a bird's nest or launching a tree somewhere or spacking off a boat dock. Boy, been there. That's bad art. And then you got to work that bait back, and there is definite art. Maybe the biggest art of all to fishing. It's not as visual. It's a sensory thing of making that bait do what you want it to do so it entices the fish to bite. First thing comes to mind is a topwater. Visual. You ever see a buzzbait in slow motion? I wish I had some footage of that. There's probably some on the interweb I could steal. The little water spot, it's just beautiful. It's just, Azera Spook is my favorite. And working Azera Spook is an art form. At least it used to be. I think they're easier to work nowadays. I don't know what other kind of walking baits there are. I have chug bugs and Azera Spooks. That's all I've got that I walk. There's an art to it, and they're beautiful to watch, and they're beautiful when a fish bites them. Better when a fish gets them. Topwater bait is maybe the ultimate art form bass fishing, just like a little bitty grasshopper or something into a fly rodder catching trout. A trout slurping in a bait is beautiful. Trout are the king of jumpers. Beautiful. And those trout streams, those bass streams, that clear running water. Maybe nobody around, just you and the critters and the fish. And throwing that little popping bug or something on that fly rod. Man, that's art. That's all it is. Pure D art. See, take away the tournaments. Take away the weigh-in bags and the culling stuff and the G-juice. Take away the bass boats taking off, running to their spots and the pressure. Take all that away. Take it back to its very essence, what fishing is. And bass fishing is one of the ultimate arts. Trout fishing is too, but bass fishing has so many things that you do that to put a day together, or put a week together, put a good day together, or maybe a bad day. I guess if we all left the water knowing that we'd tried our best to make that painting happen, we'd be happier. I think I am going to be. Think about it that way. Yeah, I decided 8 or 10 years ago, trapping was an art form because the way you approach it, you make it all yourself. You have to put those traps in and make them look real or hidden, and it was an art to it, and the animals are beautiful. But bass fishing, I think, carries it to a whole new level. I keep hearing like Randy and people talking, and I say too, the art of doing this, the art of doing that, but the whole daggum thing is artistry. How many times have I said it's art in this video? My videos aren't art. I don't care. Nice day in the woods, a little bit chilly, but it was so nice yesterday. I'm cutting firewood like I always do, and February is my firewood cutting month. I cut firewood about 6 months out of the year, but I'm going to get this done. Firewood is not so much an art form. Firewood is just pure sweat and work. Thank you guys for watching. I'm doing a few videos in the woods today because I'm not going to get back on the water for a while yet, a week or two. I'm working on it. Let me know what y'all do for art. Maybe you paint. Maybe you sculpt. Awesome. Wish I could. I wish I could still draw and play guitar like I used to. Need to pick that guitar up and practice my art. God bless you guys. Huge, huge, beautiful jumping fish to you. Beautiful sunsets, beautiful sunrises. Hope y'all have a bunch of them this year. God bless.